November 24th, 2015, Edible Acres. Finally making a video update. It's been quite a while. Been very busy this year. Hope everyone else has been having a great season. Getting ready for Thanksgiving in 2 days, and been plugging away at a new to me, very exciting project. This is on the land of Tony Potenza, who's a pretty awesome organic old-time farmer from Trumansburg, New York. He's been doing it since the 70s. He's been generous, so generous enough to allow me and a friend to have access to roughly 2/3 of an acre on the west end of his property for us to farm however we see fit, with the idea that we'll share produce, cuttings, rootstock, what have you. He has aspirations to do blackcurrant and aronia possibly at a larger scale. He does big field ag, all organic, and so to this space to him is not, high priority, super important, valuable space. It's sub-acre, so it's hard to machine work. And what he's done is he's deposited over 50 round bales of alfalfa and clover silage. So part of his operation is offering organic seed to farmers. And so in the cleaning process, he's left over with tons of chaff and he bales it up. The round bales that got pierced or rotted or didn't do it the way they should have sat in hedgerows for a while. He was so kind enough to bring them to the edge of this field, over 50 round bales of silage. And so what I'm working on right now is basically making the most organic matter rich raised beds I could ever imagine making. There's 100% organic matter in the top 12 inches of where things will be planted. Now of course this is going to take a while to break down, so I'm doing it in the fall, and I potentially will put old pieces of used black ag plastic over this to help keep the moisture and the fertility in and maintain the heat so it can break down over winter. But even though we're dipping below freezing, there's frost on the surface, but there's pockets, there's warm compost happening. Basically this is all huge windrows of compost, of alfalfa, clover, and mixed hay compost. Once this breaks down in the spring, the plan will be for me to go through and plant squash into most, if not all of this, and let it just absolutely explode with winter storage squash, novel squashes, loofah gourds, things like that for the first season, the 2016 season. Weeds that may want to perk up through will have a real tough time with a massive carpet of squash, and they seem to do incredibly well with young or unfinished compost, high fertility, a little bit turbulent, which is what this will be. The fall of 2016 will be the moment where I go into commercial scale garlic production, all hand powered though. I will plant roughly 10 to 20,000 heads of garlic with the idea of having certified organic, since the origin of the garlic is that, and this farm is that, and all of the biomass is that, available for sale as seed. My plan, since the overhead is so low, is to share a lot of it with Tony for his generosity of accessing the space, but be able to sell it online as certified organic seed for anywhere between $12 and $15 a pound. I think the prices for seed garlic are very high for people to try to get into it. So that's what this will hopefully segue into. You can see the process to break these bales and get them spread. What you saw in those fields, I clocked about 30 hours of labor so far. It's hard labor, it's nasty, but once it's done, and I should never have to need, I don't think I'll need watering or weeding or anything in these for quite a while. The walkways will get mulched with 2 feet of loose hay. There's this dry stuff, not as fertile as the silage bags, but certainly useful. And that'll hopefully suppress the weeds in the walkways. And I'll be doing a rhizome barrier of rhubarb, comfrey, horseradish, mitsuba, sorrel, a whole bunch of production herbs, Turkish rocket, around the boundaries of all these beds. I think that should work quite nicely for me. But anyway, all I've been doing is using a 4-tine, I don't know what this tool is even called, simple hook. Got it for $6 used on Craigslist. I use a 5-ton hay fork, a sheet of silage poly. It's just heavy duty, could be heavier dutier. I think it would last longer. And I basically cut the bales open with a little X-Acto, box cutter, whatever. And then just start picking with the blue guy. Lets me hook little bites and pull as I go. It's super tedious, incredibly tedious, but it's enjoyable enough. It's good for a freezing day. It's been a full moon, so I can work into the evenings lately. And then once it's loosened up, boy, the focus is annoying. Once it's loosened up, I use the hay fork to accumulate onto here, and then this is my sled. You can see I just drag it out, and then flip the poly. That dumps the load. And then once I have a bunch of nuggets all over the landscape, I can then go in with the hay fork and define the beds. When I open up a silage bag that's incredibly rotted, I use that as my top material. So this is frosty here, but imagine if you were a seed. Well, first we gotta get through the winter of this all breaking down, which I'm pretty confident it will under a snow load with moisture in there. Once this breaks down, probably the top 8 inches of your livelihood, if you were a cucurbit or a garlic, which is most of the feeding, if not almost the entirety of the fine root hair feeding zone of these plants, will be in contact with 100% organic matter. Good organic ag soils, if you get to 10%, you're doing incredible. I think it'll be fun to see what 100% will do. I know it's actually going to limit me on certain crops I can't grow. I think carrots and things like that don't enjoy this level of fertility. But the squashes, the alliums, the whole onion and garlic clans certainly do. Black currants would just rage life in here. Elder and aronia will make a great boundary crop in the wetter edges of this. I dug a trench to shunt water to the north and then to the east, slightly down slope where it hits a drainage tile eventually down there. So we can do production of wetland crops in this more moist area. Blah, blah, blah. Well, I'm excited about it, and it's fun to share. Early on in this process, probably have about 100 hours, maybe 200 hours of labor to split, deliver, and lay out in thoughtful ways windrows of all this compost. And that should be the absolute majority of the work. No gas will need to be involved, no electricity will need to be involved, probably no irrigation, probably no weeding. It should just be super yieldy from year 1 on. I'll share notes and show how that works. And look for some seed garlic from Edible Acres for your needs next fall. We also have tons of perennial permaculture plants for sale at edibleacres.org. Happy to ship them to you. All sorts of amazing plants, air potato and Turkish rocket and Nanking cherries and hazelnuts. Tons of stuff. Go check us out, edibleacres.org. Thanks for watching, and I hope for all of you get a chance to farm with a deep mulch method.